What we call demonic influences are just aspects of the unconscious mind that are repressed and projected outward. And they appear to attack us, but it's really just our own mind appearing to do that. So I would say to practice and without judgment, notice that you are not your mind, you are not your body, you are not your sensations, you're not your emotions, you're not your subtle feelings or visions. Whatever you see or feel in your imagination is purely that, it's imaginary. I know sometimes these unconscious forces can appear real in the sense that they seem to have a mind of their own. They may even try to deceive us. The mythical devil figure is really just the face of the ego. And we really don't want to see that as a society, as a global society, that the only evil we really need to be aware of is this right here. Who am I? How am I attaching to a false identity? And what does that do to me? What does that do to the world? What does that do to other people? If I've repressed emotions, difficult emotions, and they come back to haunt me, they drive my behavior. They're forms of unconscious pain that drive me. So in a sense, we're not free. Whatever we're unconscious of compels us to act in certain ways that are against our best interests. And the collective vision of these things can look like mythical creatures that we see in horror films or fantasy literature, like vampires, werewolves, bats, gremlins. But there's a mythical element to that where we're trying to understand our own mind. And these creatures that attack us and appear to be evil are really just an outpicturing of what we do to ourselves unconsciously. Sometimes I'll enter a physical space, such as a shopping area, and I'm looking for something to purchase, and I'll feel a sense of collective misery, really, a collective ennui, regret, pain, fear, division, distancing, alienation, depression, loneliness. And our tendency is to try to separate ourselves from that material, to protect. So in the dualistic subject-object framework that most of us live in, or the world is based on, we think, okay, there's something dangerous out there and I need to protect myself. So ego comes in as a sort of tension and awareness, but it's also based on fear. You could look at it as an acronym, false evidence appearing real. So these forces, entities, they could be sensations, they could be feelings. Often, though, if we really look at them, they'll have a form. Some people can be vampiric, for example. There's a heavy unconsciousness about them. And we have this term, energy vampires. We know energy vampires are often just people who are really boring and drone on and on. And yes, I strive not to be like that. There's a popular TV show about vampires living in modern society. I forget the name of it. But they're typical vampires. They need to drink human blood to feed and to continue to live and so on. But there's one character they introduce that's called an energy vampire. And we all know this person. He's a guy that he's in an office, the typical Dilbert style office environment with cubicles. And it's like the show The Office. Talk about boredom and just the mundane, drab routines that we have to deal with in the workspace sometimes. And this guy will corner people and just go on and just drone about his life. And you can tell it's dead. So Vampires are considered what they call undead creatures. They're dead, but they rise and they drink blood in order to live, although it's not a real life. It's this parasitic life, so they have to feed on living people. And this guy feeds on people's energy, and we all know that space. So there's a deadness about him. And when we act like that, there's a deadness about us, and the deadness has to do with ego. It has to do with identification with the body, with the mind, with some kind of emotional life, usually based on grievance, not very conscious, just the salient points that will annoy other people. There's usually judgment baked into it, complaining, how other people are, quote, ruining our lives when it's not true at all. And we hear that and it's just, oh, get me away. We quietly just look for the exit, like, get me away from this person. And it's draining. People like that will drain you if you give them your attention. So the key to that is just to break it and say, I need to go. I have something I need to do, and walk away. When that happens, trust it. They feed on people who are trying to be nice, who are operating according to a different program that says, oh, I should be nice, I should listen, that kind of thing. Those are thoughts. They're not authentic because although they're good guidelines in many situations, they're rough approximations and they're not alive. They're not vital. They're not connected. So yes, be nice unless your niceness would be false in that situation. It's a false niceness, and that isn't nice at all because you're being dishonest. You have to be present for what is arising. In this case, someone who's draining your life force, and immediately break it off. Why? Because truth is kinder than falsehood. Even if that kindness is to say, I need to walk away and walk away. Or I have something I need to do. I need to wax the cat, I'm busy. I need to go stare out the window at a tree. I'm going to go do that. You have to tell them that's what you're going to do. Just say, you know what, I have something really important to do. And then go find a private spot and breathe and be present. Come back to yourself. And generally avoid people like that. That's the wise way to handle it. It could be creative. It could even be kind of fun. I mean, there's a reason it's in that show. And he's really good at it. I'll have to find a clip of that and put a link to it in the description. I don't want to get too caught up in these notions of demons and parasites and other kind of figures that will drain you, could harm you. They're important to be aware of. It's just they're not real. So the definition of the real is that which is eternal and unchanging. These entities are not that. They're made of stuff that's constantly shifting and changing, and our presence is required. When we're present as that eternal truth of being, they can't handle that. That's why in the vampire stories, sunlight is used as a metaphor for what they can't handle. Sunlight will kill a vampire. Your conscious light drives them away and destroys them. And by them, I mean they're just mind forms. They're just constellations of mental energy that don't serve you. They're all self-contracted, self-important phantoms. They're not real. Regardless of how real they seem, the only reality they're going to have, or the only power they're going to have over you, is what you give them. So it's the quality of your attention that counts. If you're unconscious about it or in judgment about these things, they can prey upon you. So that's why you want to be well practiced in these things and to be conscious and be present. And then be honest. If you're uncomfortable and someone's draining you at a party or anywhere, or someone grabs you on a street corner and tries to load you up with gibberish, stop it. Walk away. just walk away. You don't have to be violent. You don't have to be opposed to it. You're present. It's like someone offers you a cocktail and you look at it and it says cyanide on it. You just walk away. You don't have to be nice. That isn't nice. Take care of yourself. Take care of your vessel, your physical, mental, and emotional vehicle. The person is important. That's what you use to reach people. That's what you use to live, to love, to laugh, maybe. I know it sounds trite. Live, love, laugh. We've all seen that. Yeah, why not? And these predatory influences are everywhere. The rough division that I usually give them is what we call demonic influences are active. They will actively try to harm you. Whereas what I would call a parasitic influence is more or less passive and just will latch on and drain you. And there's varieties of those in different ways, in different forms, different amounts. And usually you can tell because they're dark, people will be possessed by these things and they'll seem really nice. You know, they may love bomb you at first. A lot of these people are narcissists. And I don't want to get too deep into the psychology of it. There's plenty of that on YouTube. Be aware. Your unconditional presence is what protects you. And these people can't stand that. And when I say these people, I mean people under the influence of something dark. So don't get too hung up on the terminology. And no, demons aren't real. Parasites aren't real. They are appearances that will harm you if you give them power. And we give them power when we judge and when we're unconscious. The more unconscious we are, the more we're likely to suffer from these things. And then what we do is we suffer from it and then we blame the other, or we blame someone or something, out there. And there is no out there. There's just in here. What thoughts am I attaching to that I'm identified with? I should be a nice person. And you just let yourself be harmed by someone because you're blinded by that unconscious attachment. You become aware of it, release the attachment, then it's just your presence. It doesn't judge, it does discern. Someone offers you a cyanide cocktail, no thanks. It's not negative. It's actually very positive to say no in that case. Someone tries to harm or manipulate you, just say no. Just don't do it. The no, though, is not based in a judgment. It's based in a discernment of what's healthy and what's not. So you want to take care of the person. It's something we use, and it's in a sense sacred in that way if we use it for sacred purposes, for transmitting presence, for loving others, for taking care of people, for being compassionate, for being with and helping those people who can receive our truth. And the truth isn't some tailor-made truth like my truth and your truth. It's the truth of who we are. It's not a thought. It's not a feeling. It's not an emotion. It's our being. So I'm not my thoughts. I'm not my emotions. I'm not my feelings. I'm the witness of those things. So who I am is not an object of awareness. It is pure awareness itself. The eye, the eyeball, the eye sees, and it sees many things, but it doesn't see itself. But the seeing is in a sense known by virtue of seeing. In a similar way, our true nature as awareness is not an object. It can't be known the way objects can be known. And yet we are that. So it is known through being that. And we call being that being aware, being present, noticing judgments when they arise, allowing those to pass because they're not true, being present, unconditionally present. That's who we are. So we don't know it, we are it. And to the extent that we are it, it is a kind of knowing, but it's being. So an eye is just being an eye. How do you know an eye is being an eye? Because it's seeing. It's seeing. What does it see? It sees everything that it looks at. What is awareness aware of? Whatever arises before it. So don't try to know yourself as an object. Know yourself as a conscious being that is conscious, that is aware. And the practice is to be aware and to notice judgments as they arise and to let them go and to become more conscious. When we do that, these people that try to manipulate or abuse us will fall away. We'll avoid them very kindly, very compassionately. No. Hey, I have some scam I want to sell you on. Come with me. Come over here. No. Thanks, but no. Just walk away. Associate with people who support your conscious process. They don't have to support some meditation technique, or they don't have to be someone who's into videos like this, for example, but they appreciate your conscious awareness. They appreciate you on the level of your being. They like you. They don't know why. Your integrity is validated in certain ways and reciprocated. Those are your friends. Let the other ones go. What we call negative energy and these unconscious forces that are around sometimes, they're not always in a person exactly. Sometimes people exhibit those tendencies, and we could call that possession, I suppose. These things sound really horrific, and horror movies show us this. It's really pedestrian. It's really ordinary. They want us to be afraid. They want us to think that it's something mysterious. It's not. It's just the mind. So we become aware of the mind and realize it's not real. So these things are not real. They appear to be, but they're not. So the point is to turn your light on. If your house is dark, turn on the light. What is your light? It's your conscious awareness. That's all it is. Notice the tendency to judge and then let it go, like we've talked about on this channel and will continue to talk about. Your conscious presence is required. But sometimes we'll go into a space like at a shopping center or somewhere. I'm not going to name any names, but there's certain big box stores perhaps that are kind of unpleasant to be in. And there's just kind of a dead energy there. It's left behind by people with unconscious tendencies. I say this with great compassion, by the way. It sounds dismissive, like they're people that, they're lesser or something. No, that's a judgment. No one's lesser. Now, this is really important. There is such thing as low energy, high energy. You could say lower consciousness, higher consciousness. There's sort of a gross meaning not like, gag me with a spoon, grody kind of gross, but as opposed to subtle or refined, like gross consciousness that's perhaps mean, violent even, and just surly and dark and unconscious. And people kind of leave that behind sometimes. There's a residue of it in places like that, I've noticed, where a lot of people congregate. And it's not an ashram, it's not a monastery, it's not a zendo where people are cleansing the atmosphere. It's just dark and a lot of complaining, a lot of unconsciousness. And it's just in the milieu, it's in the atmosphere. So it could be people that are around, but it's also people that have been there and then left. It's really unpleasant. Like a dirty bathtub. And you wouldn't want to get in it. In a sense, you get it on you, whatever. The key is you are the awareness that doesn't judge. It's not wrong or bad. It's unpleasant. There's a difference. So there's discernment and there's value judgment. Discernment might be frequencies of light. If you speak of science, ultraviolet light is a higher frequency than infrared light, or blue light is a higher frequency than red, and so on. That's not a judgment, it's just a fact if we measure it. If we say, on the other hand, that blue light is therefore intrinsically superior, and we ban red light and seek to destroy anyone who exhibits red light, like this camera I'm using has a red light on it that lets me know that it's recording, great, that's useful. But I'm not going to destroy the camera because it's evil, because red light is inferior, or I want a camera with a blue light because it's better. That's stupid. Red light doesn't impinge on our retina as much. It doesn't kill your night vision as much. I mean, it has a use. Every frequency has a usefulness. In a similar way, human beings have different frequencies of energy that they exhibit. Some are more useful for certain things. When we become more conscious, it tends to raise our energy. It brings up some of this lower energy vibration that we have in our body and in our mind, and we deal with it. Old memories and beliefs and patterns, they surface. The whole point is to witness them without judgment. But we do discern. Look at it. Study it. Understand it. The way a scientist might study, say, like some exotic insect specimen under a microscope or magnifying device, to study it. And it's not about good or bad. I mean, the thing might have fangs, it might have wings, it might have different things, it might have a stinger. Great, that's useful for certain things. That's just natural. That's what it is. Truth means we're looking for what's there. Just understanding. So we do that with ourselves. We look at what might come up and we identify it, and then we disidentify by seeing that it's not true. It's like a thought comes up from the past, oh, the earth is flat. No, that's a very obvious one. Others might be more subtle. We realize they're not true. They don't describe reality. And they're not even useful, most of them. Describing the frequency of ultraviolet light is useful. That's part of it. That's just a discernment. It's not a problem. We're not judging, we're discerning. We're describing. So just remember that. Sometimes we might say, you're being rude and I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Let's say someone's disruptive at a house party that we have. And they might say, oh, you're judging me. No, you're not judging at all. You're saying the behavior's disruptive and we prefer it not be. So please leave. Ultraviolet light is useful for some things. Don't do this unless you really want to know the truth, but if you have an ultraviolet flashlight and you're staying in a hotel room, just turn all the lights off and use your ultraviolet flashlight to see what's been left there. Any dried exudates or stains will just stand out, like on bedspreads. I don't do that because I kind of don't want to know. I don't know if that's good or not. See, the mind wants to say, is it good, is it bad? It's just, is it healthy, is it useful? Do I have to worry about the people who've stayed in a hotel room? Probably not. You'll feel it. If it's unhealthy, unsavory, you probably will pick another room or pick another hotel. So ultraviolet light can show you what stains have been left behind, for example. Or if you have hidden lint or debris or something, and you can't really see it with the naked eye, you can use an ultraviolet light to find it. But if someone shines that flashlight, that ultraviolet flashlight in your eye, it hurts. You're going to say, please stop. That hurts. It hurts. The retina, it's too much energy and it can even damage it. That's not a judgment. We're not saying ultraviolet light is bad. The ultraviolet rays from the sun can give you a sunburn. So it makes sense to only have so much of it. It can be healthy in a certain dose, unhealthy in a much higher dose, and so on and so on. X-rays can be useful. That's a higher frequency. Too many X-rays, not healthy. In a similar way, if someone's disrupting our house party with behavior that we would describe as rude, or there's kind of a judgment built into that, the word rude. So you could say, when you drank a quart of tequila and started urinating on our new carpet, we found that disruptive. We'd like you to leave. then you're just describing the behavior. That doesn't work for us. I'm not interested. That's not a judgment. People will try to trick you sometimes and say, you're judging me, how dare you? No. I'm just saying the behavior you're exhibiting has this particular quality, I'm not interested. As free beings, we are allowed to do that. And it is very liberating to do that. So it is important to discern the quality of your relationships and make changes sometimes. And it's purely functional. It's like what works for you. You don't have to judge to do that. You don't have to say people are bad. Even the word demonic, I mean, talk about judgment. But if we're just talking about someone who's possessed by a deep unconsciousness and a tendency to harm, say a compulsive tendency to harm people, like in a criminal way, we don't have to use the word demonic. We could say psychopathic. Even that's a diagnosis. Forget about the little details. Someone who's violent and wants to hurt you or exploit you, just avoid them. I'm just suggesting that the key to that is to notice that it's harmful and that you're just not interested. You don't have to judge people. You don't have to be afraid even. Just, no thanks. It's kind of like these department stores. If you're shopping and you're looking for something, you're not going to buy everything they have. Some of it you may look at it and be like, yeah, I don't want that. They're charging twice what this other store's charging. It's just a discernment. Some things we call ripoff, like it's something that if we allow ourselves to be exploited by certain manipulated pricing schemes or some deal we have to sign up for that's really a hook to get us caught up in some system where they harvest our data or whatever. No. Or if you say, yeah, sure, I'll try that, and then you get caught up in it, maybe you learn something. So you don't have to judge it. Just notice, oh man, this is unpleasant. Why did I sign up for this thing? You can cancel it. If they won't let you cancel it, find a way. So if you're shopping in one of these places, for example, or you're in a certain part of town, or if there have been unconscious influences that are in a sense lingering in the environment and you feel it, usually we call these sensitive people that feel it. I am sensitive to that. The key is not to judge and just to be present. Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? Is it helpful, not helpful? Is it useful? Is it not useful? Sometimes we may endure a certain degree of negativity, dead energy. Sometimes you can avoid it and you just allow it. Your practice will help you because when you're present for it, it dissolves it.